Now in the team box. I said that to Brian Kelly before we did the interview. He said we might need to rethink that.
Yeah, exactly. Katie, stay out of the team boxes today. No reporting from the team boxes.
Garrett Nussmeier, of course, dealing with replacing and following a Heisman winner, but they're really pleased with him. Could use a little more support in the run game. What do you like about Nussmeier, Jess?
Well, listen, he's not the athlete Jaden Daniels was while he was here, but he does a lot of other things really well, too. For the most part, he's made really good decisions. I really like the location of his throws from an accuracy standpoint. And, Joe, I absolutely love how good he is at anticipating. You're going to see that here in this game. All of that has led to 10 touchdown passes early this year. Right now, that's tops in the SEC.
Heard BK say they want to start fast. They go empty set to begin the game, and Nussmeier gets it complete to Lacey, who goes up and grabs it for an LSU first down.
Wow, and that's an impressive throw by Nussmeier, because that time he had a Vili Kaufusi literally right in his lap, but he was able to keep his vision downfield and hitting Lacey, his go-to receiver, right in stride.
17 yards to Lacey. Williams takes it ahead, and he fights for extra yardage. Impact players are built by the Home Depot.
Yeah, we got them all over the field here today for both teams. You already saw Kyron Lacey with the catch on that in route in the first play. He's the go-to guy in the offense. Will Campbell, one of the best linemen in the entire country. They've got to be able to run the ball. On defense for UCLA, Kane Medrano's their best player. He's an outstanding athlete. You'll see him all over the field. And Kalen Moore is a corner they love to leave on islands one-on-one.
2nd and 6 after the 4-yard run. Nussmeier, plenty of time. In-cutting route to Aaron Anderson. Good start for Nussmeier in this passing game.
And there's a good example of an anticipation throw into zone coverage by Garrett Nussmeier. He lets go of this thing way before Anderson has even turned around. When Nussmeier's in rhythm, he's really, really difficult to stop.
This is the tempo that we expected to see. They go back to Anderson, just went for 21 yards, and now he wiggles his way ahead as he works inside the 30-yard line.
Yeah, and they want to go tempo because they want to try and tire this UCLA defense down quickly. They want to try to get as many substitutes and backups for UCLA on the field early in this game because they feel like they can take advantage of a lot of those matchups.
Here's Williams breaking free, and it'll be 1st and goal Tigers as Brian Addison saved the touchdown, but LSU is rolling on this opening drive.
Well, it's really a nice job. You're pulling the backside guard and the backside tackle and just creating a seam right here. Williams does a nice job letting the block set up, and when he sees the crease, puts his foot in the ground and heads north. You know, LSU's going to try and run the ball, especially in the inside of this defense for UCLA, Joe, because there are some injury issues right now at defensive tackle for the Bruins coming into this one.
1st and goal. They go with the short pop to Thomas, trying to turn the corner, diving for the end zone, and in is Xavier Thomas. And the first time this season LSU has scored on their opening drive.
Taking a look at this again, this is a foot race to the pylon. Nice job by Xavier Thomas, and yeah.
Aggressive pylon cam, bringing you that great angle of Xavier Thomas and his touchdown score. Nussmeier was sensational on that opening drive, 4 for 4 for 48 yards as Ramos adds the extra point.
Well, this last touchdown was basically a foot race between Xavier Thomas and Kane Medrano. He's coming here, and the guy he's got to race is right there. And Xavier Thomas, the transfer from Mississippi State, is one of the best punt and kick returners in the country. And I think they do a good job here, Joe, at LSU of situationally putting him in the game. They use him in motion. You can put him at running back, hand it off, or give him jet sweeps. They're just trying to get Thomas out in space because, as you can see, so difficult to tackle and stiff-arming UCLA's best defensive player on the opening drive of the game. That's how you make a statement if you're LSU.
Immediately attention turns to Ethan Garbers as he's getting ready. Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, after all the success in the NFL, now part of the new staff at UCLA. Deshaun Foster, one of the all-time greats to play at UCLA. Bieniemy, they feel like they'll get things going in the right direction, but unique struggles this year with the circumstances surrounding the coaching change, as well as managing the roster. As Aaron Burrell kicks off. And Garbers will head on out. Last week, in that effort against Indiana, Jess, he was just 14 of 23 for 137 yards. Fumbled the ball away through an interception.
Yeah, you know, the fifth-year senior, he's got a lot of moxie, and he's really gritty, takes big hits, keeps on ticking. He's going to fight and scrap to the end of every single day. The problem, Joe, is that sometimes he presses, and he wants it too bad. And turnovers have been a problem for him early this year. Already 4 turnovers. He cannot put his offense in a bad position in this one, especially considering this front 7 of LSU. They're going to be coming after him early and often in this game.
Garbers is going to run option, and he's going to be tackled right near the line of scrimmage as he's brought down by Savion Jones.
Look at the impact players in this one. TJ Harden at running back is a weapon, running it and catching it. Rico Flores Jr., the Notre Dame transfer, has been their big play receiver early this year. For LSU, Braden Swinson is their alpha rushing the passer. 3 sacks last week against South Carolina. And we'll get into Harold Perkins Jr., one of the more unique talents in the country on defense. He has a skill set with lots of speed, and where he lines up today, I think is going to be a big story.
Keegan Jones, who went into the backfield to flank Garbers, who's going to sprint left, look for something, and he is able to get it out towards the 30-yard line to Rico Flores Jr., who you mentioned transferred in from Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's a big completion just to make this 3rd down manageable. It's important, Joe, in this game. I think UCLA starts fast. Haven't been able to do that early this year. They fell down 10-0 early against Hawaii, 21-0 against Indiana. I think good things have to happen early in this game for UCLA and their offense if they're going to win this one.
Third and 4. Garbers pressure right up the middle, gets it to Jones, who holds on, has the first down and a heck of a lot more. And this has been a concern for LSU all year, giving up chunk plays. Yet another there.
Wow, and Keegan Jones decided to make this a bit of an adventure here. He was the hot route coming out of the backfield against the blitz. The ball thrown a little bit behind him. You see there, Joe, he just took his eyes off the ball for just a split second. And a great job being able to focus in on that. You saw the pressure coming in from LSU. Great job by Garbers, knowing he's hot, knowing where his answer is, out in the flat, moving the chains.
That is the 14th play of over 20 yards that LSU's defense has given up. Quick slant, Flores with the catch.
I like the play calling right now by offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, because he's gotten a lot of throws that are quick. The ball's coming out of Garbers' hands now, and it's helping his quarterback get into a rhythm playing here in a tough environment. Nice job of just settling your quarterback into this game.
Three throws, 3 completions, and 40 yards to start his afternoon. Harden trying to keep his footing there as he gets himself inside the 35-yard line. Good start with an offense that, as you see, has struggled. Look at their national rankings in points and yards.
And only 1 touchdown in each of the first 2 games. And, of course, this is a much more complex NFL-style offense Eric Bieniemy is bringing in. The schemes are totally different. The verbiage is different. But I think the biggest problem, Joe, has been execution and getting all 11 guys to execute at the same time. Here's a big one here again on 3rd down.
3rd down and 2. Garbers back to pass. had to retreat with that rush, and nobody was in range as Gio Paez was coming after him.
Yeah, Gio Paez, the transfer from Wisconsin, won run up the middle, and he won one-on-one with Holsteg, the left guard, put pressure in Garber's face, made it very difficult to complete that. And so now if you're Deshaun Foster, you got to go. You're inside the 35-yard line. I love this aggressive approach. About 4th and 2.
Fourth down and 2. Opening drive for UCLA. They've gone 6 plays, marched it 42 yards. Fourth down out of the backfield, gets it complete to Harden, and Harden leaps for extra yards out of bounds. First down, Bruins.
And that's the matchup that Ethan Garbers wanted. He had his running back one-on-one with a D lineman chasing him in the flat. Watch this. That was the perfect call on at the right time. Savion Jones cannot keep up with the running back out of the backfield. And you saw that time, Ethan Garbers, he wanted the ball right now because he knew in the pre-snap that was exactly where he was going to go with the football. Nice catch by Harden, and another great job moving the sticks.
13-yard reception on what was 4th down. Garbers with time drives the ball inside the 10 and into the end zone. UCLA, Jack Peterson with a touchdown reception. That is a perfect start for the big underdogs.
Well, it's a coverage bust by LSU because you got Jones running the flat here. 2 defenders are going to run with them, and they forget all about the tight end just running up the seam. There have been issues all season long on the back end for LSU, whether it's tackling, whether it's coverage, pass interference, and on the first drive, a big coverage bust costs them.
A 20-yard touchdown, Garbers to Peterson. Pagani with the extra point. They face the 4th down. Day afternoon, a hot Saturday afternoon here in the SEC in Baton Rouge. Jerry McGinn from the Big Ten heads up this crew. Garrett Nussmeier last week led a touchdown drive in the final couple minutes at South Carolina. And a nice bounce back. They throw an interception on a goal line on the previous drive.
That penalty was offsides in the kicking team. LSU going to accept it. Start this drive.
5-yard penalty. First down.
Nearly in the neutral zone, and he was. And Nussmeier takes a strike, but it's incomplete to the outside as he was looking for Lacey. KJ Wallace, nickelback, who was sneaking up to the line of scrimmage.
Offside. Defense. Number 7. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Well, we were saying the last drive, Joe, how UCLA's banged up a little bit at the defensive tackle position. Keanu Williams out with an Achilles injury, and Jay To'ia, big 330-pound D tackle, number 93. He's battling a bit of a hip injury, so you got to think if you're LSU in this one, you want to take advantage of a veteran offensive line, really try to pound this football right up the middle of the defense.
And To'ia is considered their best overall player by so many within the program. And Jesse, that's exactly what they just did with Josh Williams.
Yeah, you're going to challenge them, and you're going to do it in a lot of different ways. You're going to let these guys fire off the ball with zone. You've already seen a big part of LSU's run game is pulling guards and tackles and getting extra big bodies at the point of attack. They want to be physical.
Second and 1. Williams will get the work again, and the pile moves ahead, and the chains will move as well.
Yeah, it's a running back by committee approach for LSU too. So Josh Williams goes first, and at some point you're going to see Caleb Jackson, the 235-pound true sophomore, and then Caden Durham, a true freshman that really sparked their offense in their win against South Carolina last week. He now in the game.
Had 98 yards and went for 8.9 yards per carry with his 2 touchdowns last week. They think the sky could be the limit as he develops. And a timeout is going to be used by LSU. And we'll take a break on a beauty against the SEC during that span.
Yeah,
UCLA 6-1.
Dominating every time they line up. Looking pretty good early in this one too.
Off the timeout. First down for LSU. Durham. He's able to bounce off that first would-be tackler. That's what we saw a lot of last week with the freshman, Caden Durham.
Well, he runs very low to the ground, but he also has exceptional speed. 10.3 in the 100 meters, and he's got quick feet, able to make people miss, and had 3 runs of over 15 yards in that game. That's why I say he really kind of gave them a spark, especially in the run game when they needed it most last week.
Not much there. Caden Durham, he was a superstar in Texas, had 231 yards in the Texas State Championship game, the MVP there. You mentioned it, record-setting track team. He was on Duncanville, and then last week goes for 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that 4x200-meter relay team at Duncanville, that was the national high school record that was set last spring. 3rd down and 5, the first 3rd down that LSU has faced in this game. And they're pointing over at big number 66, Will Campbell, who, of course, is a huge NFL prospect. See that number 7 patch on his left collar. The honor of the famed number 7 jersey.
Start. Offense, number 66, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That was it. What do you do when you give the number 7 to a left tackle? When like Patrick Peterson and the Honey Badger, Fournette, like DJ Chark, but then a big guy's going to have the 7. You got to get the.
He earns it though. He's from the state of Louisiana, and he's one of their impact players, so he's got to wear it. This guy's been starting ever since the day he stepped foot on campus. Upset with himself there though, with the late shift by UCLA's front, now setting up 3rd and long.
3rd down and 10 now after the penalty. They back off the pressure as Nussmeier looking to get it downfield to Anderson. And Anderson does haul it in. It is a catch and a first down LSU.
Well, that was a nice job that time by Nussmeier, taking his time and making sure the protection was set. It was a bit of a funky look by UCLA, and he fits this into a very tiny window. Already the 3rd catch for Anderson.
Quick to the outside as C.J. Daniels, grad student, transferred from Liberty, gets the reception.
And there's a good example of the knowledge that Garrett Nussmeier has in this offense. UCLA brings the blitz a corner from the boundary, and right away, without any hesitation, he spits it out to the Liberty transfer, C.J. Daniels, for the easy completion.
Garrett Nussmeier 6 for 6 in this game so far. Keep it on the ground and testing that right side was Williams, but he was driven back by Cain Medrano. Medrano is everywhere when you watch the UCLA defense on film.
He really is, and he's an unbelievable athlete. Started his career as a receiver, got moved to DB, just kept getting bigger, so now they put him at linebacker. And on 3rd downs like this is where he can really be a factor. This defense has some funky personnel grouping. Sometimes they play with 4 down linemen, sometimes 3, sometimes 2, sometimes only 1. They put a lot of linebackers out on the field, and they muddle everything up at the line of scrimmage the way they are right now. They're making it really difficult to know for LSU who's coming and who's not.
3rd down and 7. Oh! Kyron Lacey, it just came off his hip, and you can see his reaction saying, how did I do that?
And he's been really good this year, Joe, but you know last year drops were a big problem for Kyron Lacey, and here he's running the skinny post. This is a perfect read by Garrett Nussmeier on time. He gets it out fast. They're bringing the blitz up the middle. It's picked up, and he hits him right in the face mask. Just lack of concentration. And LSU now 4th down, and they're keeping their offense out on the field.
That was the first incompletion for Nussmeier. It is 4th down and 7. Nussmeier with time, and it's incomplete as he threw it to the outside of Thomas, and it'll be a turnover on downs.
Well, it was Kalen Moore. He was one of our impact players. Nice job in coverage on 4th down. We talked about him always being on an island, and he wins the one-on-one battle, and that is a huge stop, Joe, here early for UCLA's defense.
Joe, Jesse, and Katie with you here, the SEC on ABC. UCLA tied up with LSU early on. Garbers, as it goes incomplete on 1st down. Coverage where it counts, presented by T-Mobile 5G Home Internet.
Yeah, really impressed with Ethan Garbage early in this game. Really doing a nice job when getting blitzed, knowing where his answers are. That time on 3rd down, finding Keegan Jones in the flat. Zone blitz on 4th down. Finds Harden against the D lineman, and here against the coverage bus, hitting his tight end Peterson in the seam. Garbers is doing a really nice job right now, just playing within the system, taking the answers when they present themselves. He's not trying to force the ball downfield too much, just making really smart and sound decisions.
2nd down, there's Keegan Jones, and Jones stacked up at the line of scrimmage, then goes forward for 2.5 yards. Katie.
LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker was very unhappy after UCLA's touchdown drive. He told his guys, they are going to test our eyes. You have to expect that. He said that touchdown came from our lack of discipline. He said, look where you're supposed to look and do your job.
The big guy that can help him right now on 3rd down, Katie, is Harold Perkins. He's been a monster throughout his LSU career in these situations. Sometimes they line him up on the edge. Other times they put him out at linebacker and they blitz him. Sometimes they can spy the quarterback, but this is really where he has feasted throughout his career.
3rd and 8. Garbers avoids traffic, gets it downfield and complete to Gilmer. The true freshman, Quasi Gilmer, out of Sierra Canyon High. Perhaps you know it better as a basketball school. He comes up big.
Well, Garbers just has really good pocket mechanics here. He's keeping his eyes downfield, 2 hands on the ball. He feels the pressure and steps up, and right away gets his eyes back locked down on Quasi Gilmer, the true freshman, and a very accurate throw on the move. Joe, you've got to be impressed early in this game with just how good UCLA has been on 3rd and 4th down.
Gilmer went to high school with LeBron and Dwayne Wade's sons. Comes up with the 29-yard catch there. Here's Harden. A little bit of a shake, and another good drive being put together by UCLA as Alexander makes the tackle. There's Blake Baker. His 2nd stint at LSU came over from Mizzou, where they had a lot of success, of course, with his defense.
And he's the highest paid assistant right now in college football too, Joe, making $2.5 million a year.
Think about what you just said.
Yeah, there's a lot of turnover on this defense this season. They had 5 new assistants, and they paid a lot of money to bring these guys in. But, Joe, they're having a lot of the same issues defensively they had a year ago.
And cash-wise, you're better off being a coordinator in the SEC or the Power 4 than a head coach in the lower conferences. $2.5 million. Garbers, shallow cross is incomplete. He couldn't get it to Sturdivant. Swinson with pressure.
Well, and it hasn't just been one thing for LSU, whether it's busted coverages like we saw early in this game or getting beat one-on-one down the field, missing tackles. It's been a lot of big plays. 27 plays of 15 yards or more is the most in the SEC, and that's the biggest thing that they have to take out. Those are the things they've got to be able to avoid in this game and moving forward. At this point right now, Joe, they just got to be able to get off the field. 3rd down has been a problem for LSU. UCLA has done a great job picking up their pressures.
3rd down and 7. Garbers cannot escape that. They all got to him. It was Weeks, the first one there, and then Jones cleaned it up coming around.
It was Weeks that time. He's kind of dropping back and spying, and as soon as he sees the running back block, this is sort of a green dog deal where he's going to come. Looked like LSU was caught off guard just a little bit there, but as soon as he saw the running back go to block, that was the trigger for him to shoot and go after Garbers.
Team Begani on to attempt the 47-yard field goal. Good lift on that. And elevates right in. As Begani gives UCLA the field goal lead here at LSU in the closing moments of the first quarter. Deshaun Foster, his messaging was on point in this game. Brought his team out here and said, listen, don't look at this big football palace. Look at the field. It's the same as the one we play on.
I gotta say, as a former quarterback, I'm liking this matchup too, because we got a little bit of a quarterback duel going between Ethan Garbers and Garrett Nussmeier. I mentioned earlier about Nussmeier's ability to anticipate throws. He can get it out early, throw guys open, and avoid sacks. He's been so much fun to watch on film early this season. Against USC, you got Kyron Lacey in motion, running a wheel route. He's going to pump fake the screen at the bottom, and as soon as he sees the DB suck up, now he knows he has the matchup he wants one-on-one with the safety. He throws this thing way early, trusting Lacey's going to make an incredible catch, which he does. Last week against South Carolina, this time Lacey in the slot running the deep crossing route. Nice protection, but when you anticipate, you got to throw it way before receivers clear the defenders, and that's what he does. He picks an area down the field. Really nice location on the throw, Joe. I always felt like anticipation is a really, really hard thing to teach quarterbacks how to do. It's a knack that either you have it or you don't. I think that's one thing NFL scouts and coaches and executives are going to love about LSU's quarterback.
I find it interesting here. We're analyzing a UCLA LSU game. You just showed Southern Cal LSU highlights. It's like they're in the LAX Invitational point of their schedule, LSU. The first SEC school to play both USC and UCLA in the same season since the SEC began all the way back in 1933. Nussmeier on first down. Good protection, a chance to go downfield, but he overthrows Kyron Lacey. And a flag does come in at the 45-yard line as Stewart had coverage.
Yeah, they're going to call Stewart, I think, for grabbing the jersey of Kyron Lacey down the field.
Pass interference. Defense, number 22. 15-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
Well, LSU right now is doing a good job of just moving Lacey around. That time he was in the slot running the fade, and you just see you don't have to hold the jersey. That's just from Croy Stewart, a play that he doesn't have to make. He's in great position. He has good coverage. You just got to let go.
If you look on first down, quick out and complete to the very talented tight end Mason Taylor.
He is so good, and a guy that they scheme a lot of plays for because of his size problems and also the speed problems that he gives defenses.
Each quarterback with a touchdown.
Porter, what do you think of your team's start?
Just start fast. That's what we need to do. We need to come out and make some plays, you know, stay in the game like we are and just keep playing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's February 9th when Chip Kelly stunned the college football world and left UCLA as the head coach as they go back to Mason Taylor on 2nd and 3, and that's a first down.
That is such a good catch. And I think in 5 games we've seen this year, Joe, you, Katie, and I think that guy right there, Mason Taylor, is the best tight end we've seen. Look at this. Look at his ability to get down low under the football. The ground, I don't think, helped him catch it. He's able to secure that. He's a special talent at the tight end position.
You know, and at the end of that play, Jesse, not a good sign for LSU as Emory Jones, who is, I believe, ranked as #2 offensive tackle prospect for the NFL draft, is still down on his knees, and the medical team is out to check on him. They have the best bookend tackle combination in college football with Jones on one side, Campbell on super talented Tennessee team. This was Emory Jones heading to the medical tent. Caden Durham, play action. They get it over to Mason Taylor, as Nussmeier connects with Taylor again for a minimal gain.
So now the redshirt freshman Tyree Adams assumes the role over at right tackle for LSU. And I think if you're offensive coordinator Joe Sloan, you now got to think about on passing downs, do we need to attach a tight end or have running back help on our right side? Maybe didn't need it with Emory Jones in the game, but now with the redshirt freshman, that may change things.
Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, who's promoted after Mike Dembach left for Notre Dame. Downfield attempt. And what an amazing catch and score! Kyle Parker, how about it? My, oh my, Mr. Parker.
The redshirt freshman Kyle Parker lined up in the slot going one-on-one with Croy Stewart, who had a pass interference call earlier. How about the location of the throw by Garrett Nussmeier? You could not have walked down the field and handed it to Kyle Parker any better than that. That was big time.
Progressive pylon cam, that extra effort of the dive for the last few yards with a defensive back right on top of him. Ramos adds the extra point. And just like that, the Tigers retake the lead. Beautiful pass by Nuss.
Yeah, and I love the thought, too, by Joe Sloan. Staying aggressive, throwing the football. Your right tackle's out of the game. You're in an empty formation, so he's not going to get any help. You're trusting him to get it done up front to give Nussmeier time, but Nussmeier's really been in a nice rhythm so far in this game. He's seeing the field so beautifully at this point. He knows where his matchups are that he likes in the pre-snap, and he's taking advantage of that. Great concentration on the catch by Parker, and you mentioned it, Joe, too. Just fighting his way to get across that goal line with Stewart draped all over him. Garrett Nussmeier likes it.
12th touchdown pass of the year for Nussmeier, and it was great to see that protection on the right side of the line as Tyree Adams came in, the big 6'7", former 4-star recruit who they're super high, and it gets an opportunity. The All-American Emory Jones has to step out with a medical situation. The protection was there. The launch of the pass was spectacular, and then the big-time finish by Kyle Parker, and they did it in just 4 plays and a minute 20 with the quick strike. A 14-10 LSU lead. Medical tent with Emory Jones. So he was rolled up a few plays ago. Eric Bieniemy, play caller for UCLA, the 2-time Super Bowl champ with the Chiefs.
Yeah, and it's amazing. You know, this offense already looks so much better than it did in the first 2 games against Hawaii and Indiana. Only the 3rd game, but I think as the season goes on, you know, Eric Bieniemy's learning who's good at what on his offense and which plays should be for who. And I've been really impressed, Joe. I know you have too, with Ethan Garbers early in this game. Just the poise he's shown, especially in this environment, and the great decision-making we've seen so far.
Garbers on 1st down. He just got tripped up, and it goes for a sack. But to your point about Garbers, I liked what he said this week when he says, listen, we know we're not there right now. There's a lot of work to be done, but we're excited to do that work. The attitude is great on Garbers.
And you got to set the foundation. I think for Garbers, the big thing is just avoiding the disaster plays. We talked about the 4 turnovers in the first 2 games. Throwing interceptions into the opponent's end zone. Throwing interceptions from your own end zone. The first play against Indiana, ball popping out on an RPO, has set this offense back. But in this one, he just seems very calm, cool, and collected. He's taking his time. He's making the right reads, and he's been smart with the ball.
2nd and 15. And he goes to the 25-yard line. Peterson had the touchdown on the opening drive for them.
This is what I'm talking about. Going back in the Hawaii game, early here, you're rolling to your right. You're trying to make something happen down in the red zone, but you throw it into double coverage, and it's a bad interception. Next, and then very later in the game, this is like UCLA Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhook, which you just absolutely can't do as a quarterback, and it absolutely cost him. This is the first play last week against Indiana. You blink, all of a sudden you're down 14-0. You can't win the game every single play. What Eric Bieniemy wants him to do is just to manage every single situation. And here's a big one here. On 3rd and California, you don't have to get it all back. If it's not there, check it down or throw it away.
3rd down. He is sacked. He is taken down by Swinson.
Braden Swinson is their best pass rusher. The Oregon transfer was a 3rd down specialist a year ago. This year, it's every single play. And that time working against Ruben Unije right here, just one-on-one and just bull rushes right through him, uses his leverage, is able to transition. He has been unblockable early this year for the LSU Tigers.
Brody Richter is going to be punting from 6 yards deep in the end zone. They're going to set up the return. It'll be Xavier Thomas, but it's a good driven kick by Richter as Thomas retreats all the way inside the 25, but is able to make some of it up, but a heck of a punt by Brody Richter.
Well, Nussmeier has looked pretty good for LSU, throwing it all over the field. 10 of 12 right now, and just doing a nice job at the line of scrimmage with his command and making sure the protections are set. He's had to throw under duress. That was the first play of the game, connected with Lacey. There's a nice anticipation throw to Anderson from the other side of the field, finding his one-on-one matchup on that last touchdown pass to the freshman Kyle Parker. Number 13 for LSU. He is dialed in right now.
I mentioned last week that interception that he threw late, but he stayed so positive, right? Just came back. BK said you never even know he threw the interception, and he's off to a good start here today. Durham?
That's a really good point, Joe. I think that's the thing I'm probably most impressed with Nussmeier about. Is just he always battles.
Yep.
You know, the game is never over. He's going to go until there's zeros on the clock, no matter what good happens or bad happens. 4 starts coming into this one. On 2 of them, he had to come back from a double-digit deficit and lead his team back to a win. This guy is a fighter. I think that really resonates with his teammates in the locker room.
2nd down and 6. Nussmeier going to go deep again and just overthrows Anderson.
The other thing, too, about Garrett Nussmeier is that he waited his turn, right, Joe? This is a 4th-year junior who lost a QB competition to Max Johnson early in his career. Obviously sat behind Jaden Daniels the last 2 years. In today's era of college football, Joe, if you lose a QB competition and you get benched, you're in the portal.
Yeah, transfer city.
And we see guys sometimes hop around 2-3 times, but Garrett Nussmeier has stayed loyal to LSU through 2 different head coaches, multiple offensive coordinators. He believes this is the best place to give himself a chance to win and to go play in the NFL.
And then last year, when Jaden Daniels, of course, wins the Heisman, opts out of the bowl game, Nussmeier comes in against Wisconsin, goes for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns. Does Garrett Nussmeier. Listen, I don't think the problem is necessarily going to be Garrett Nussmeier in this offense and these incredibly talented wide receivers that we've already seen. There's some concerns on defense that are showing up.
You know, it's a little bit of deja vu, honestly, Joe, from what I saw last year in LSU. They essentially wasted an historic offense here at LSU that was scoring 45 points a game, led the country, Heisman Trophy quarterback. You've got 2 first-round wide receivers, and they didn't reach the playoff because of the defense. This year, you can see they've got the talent offensively, and they've got dudes on defense, too. But they just have those mental mistakes and breakdowns that consistently are getting them in trouble, and that's something they've got to be able to wipe out.
It's the chunk plays they've been giving up big explosive plays to their opponents, and then this guy, though with his arm talent, can match on the other side. It is a 3rd down and 6 after they exhausted their 2nd timeout of this first half. 4-man rush against Nussmeier. Extends the play and gets it complete for a first down to Mason Taylor. And look at Taylor, the son of the NFL Hall of Famer Jason Taylor, and such a star here in Baton Rouge.
Well, and Taylor does such a good job working with this quarterback. This route, he starts curling up over the middle of the field. He's going to break out of it. When he sees his quarterback start rolling to the right, you got to find open grass, right? Not out of control, just settle down, give him a place to throw.
How about a shot going down that sideline again?
Man.
Crowd thought there was a lot of contact with Kirkwood teamed up with Kyron Lacey, and you hear the cascade of boos at the end of it with no flag.
Yeah, that was Devin Kirkwood, big 6'3" in coverage. We've seen them called already for pass interference for grabbing the jersey on Kyron Lacey, and for whatever reason this time, it was not called. That's one thing you look for in referees, Joe, just pass interference. It's fine if there's no calls, but you got to be consistent throughout the course of the game for both teams. I don't think you're seeing it so far after that play.
Second down. As Durham, not much there as he is driven back by K.J. Wallace.
Well, this is an area where UCLA now needs a big stop themselves. And we talked about how they like to put a bunch of linebackers out here on third down and roam guys around for Deshaun Foster. They do a really good job disguising their blitzes, their coverages. If you're Nussmeier, you cannot predetermine who you're going to throw to in the pre-snap. You've got to watch the safeties to give you an idea of where the pressure is coming from, what the coverage is going to be, and you have to be reactionary.
So Busick and Havili Kufasa. Can they get there on third down and 9? Nussmeier, quick strike, incomplete. He was trying to go to Taylor again, but Ramon Henderson was there defensively.
That was a great break on the ball by Henderson right from the get-go. That time they played coverage. Everybody's eyes on Nussmeier. Henderson, the Notre Dame transfer, man, he put his foot in the ground and he beelined for this pass. Look at him right in the middle of the field here. No hesitation. That is a big-time play in the back end for Henderson.
Peyton Todd on the punt for the first time today. Punted 3 times in the first half against South Carolina last week. One of them, of course, was blocked. Actually, that's Oceandorf who gets the call today. So they go with the other punter after last week's episodes. And a chance for a pin. An excellent job by Oceandorf.
Baton Rouge been really impressed with Eric Bieniemy's offense at UCLA early in this one. We talked about the learning curve with his pro-style offense. It's not just scheme and blocking and running and route concepts, but terminology has been a massive difference. Much wordier play calling this year. And for an example, this was a call I had back at Florida. Bandit right, 34 base. That's something typical you'd see throughout college. All of a sudden now you get to the NFL and I had Sean Payton, and the play call is completely different. How about Lightning 21? Explode to bunch right, F peel, 322, Y stick pump, X Oscar. Lots of words doesn't mean it's a special play. That's a common play every offense has, but you can see it's not just, hey, who am I throwing to? It's, can I tell my teammates what the play is now?
Here's Harden as UCLA started with that very compromised, their worst field position of the day so far.
And there's method to the madness in these wordy plays. When you go back, Lightning 21 is the personnel grouping. Yeah. Explode to bunch right is the shift in the formation. F peels the motion. 322 is the protection. Y stick pump is the tight end on an out and up. And X Oscar is your X receiver in the boundary running a quick out. Every offense in the NFL and in college has that play. But it's not easy to regurgitate necessarily. And I think Ethan Garbage has done a really good job picking this all up.
And his teammates have noticed as well. Second down and 8. Sprint to the right. Gets it to Matavau and goes ahead for a first down. And that tight end actually has commented on Garber's skill. Katie.
Yeah, guys, Garber said it was really difficult at first. Like now the range is 15 to 20 words per play call with Bieniemy. He said he spent a lot of time this spring and summer standing in front of a mirror reciting the play calls over and over again, just memorizing and practicing how to say the lengthy play calls quickly to his teammates.
Yeah, and Katie, it's interesting when you watch their offense, right? We talk about the tempo LSU is using, but UCLA likes to huddle. And I think that's a really good idea for a couple of reasons in this game. One, because those plays are so wordy, when you're in the huddle with the other 10 guys close to you, it's the best, most efficient way to make sure you're communicating it to everybody efficiently. Also, we've talked about the humidity here as well, and I think every time they huddle, it gives them a chance to just catch their breath here in these weather conditions, and so far it's working.
You know, Jesse, I asked Garber, well, is Bieniemy saying the full 15 to 20 word play call to you? And he said, no, we don't have time for that. He said the first few words he'll say, and then I immediately recognize the full play call and I take it from there. I mean, if they were going back and forth saying 15 to 20 words, I mean, that headset would cut off with 15 seconds left on the clock, no problem.
Katie, he said that Eric Bieniemy said he's a repeater. He's the guy that gives you the play and then he gives it to you again. And the problem as a quarterback is you're listening to what he tells you. You're trying to yell at your guys what's going on. He's still yelling in your ear. And it's impossible to concentrate in that moment. I remember Kerry Collins was our starting quarterback with the New York Giants, and Sean Payton used to give him the whole play twice. He used to drive Kerry Collins absolutely crazy, especially when you were playing in loud environments like this.
Zy Alexander was the LSU defender who the training staff had to see. We're just coming off of the 11-yard catch by Matavau, the tight end for UCLA. And just to add on to the conversation, great analysis by you and Katie when it comes to Benjamin's play calling. It was Matavau who said this week, he says, Ethan Garber's the quarterback. He knows the offense so well, he quizzes us on it. He will turn to us and has that commitment to constantly quiz us on all this verbiage you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, he's the point person, right, from Eric Bieniemy, and he's the guy that has to understand everybody else's assignments if this offense is going to have any chance. But there's no question, Joe and Katie, Ethan Garbers, he's dialed into this game plan for LSU.
First down, back to pass. Garber steps up in the pocket. That was deflected right at the line of scrimmage. Whit Weeks tried to make a play on it, but it was batted away.
Yeah, it's 15. Deshaun Womack on the outside, getting his hands up and knocking that thing down. Really nice job getting pressure. We've seen LSU now have some success coming off the edge, and they're winning these one-on-one battles with UCLA's tackles. That time there, I think UCLA's running back, TJ Harden, could have done a little bit of a better job giving him a chip, and maybe softening that edge just a little bit. There's got to be new ways that UCLA can help out these tackles in pass pro.
Garbers quickly gets it out to Flores, who fights ahead for the first down. Rico Flores, the transfer from Notre Dame.
He's been the big play guy for UCLA in the pass game so far. He's been their best deep threat early this year, and also a guy who's dangerous after the catch. That's a good idea for Ethan Garbers right now. If you're looking towards number one and you get access off the line of scrimmage like he just had going up against Ashton Stamps at corner, you got to take that throw all day long.
It's his third catch this afternoon here in Tiger Stadium. Harden on first down, and he goes ahead for about 2.5 yards. Whit Weeks with the tackle.
See Blake Baker, LSU's D coordinator, trying to find the answers, trying to find the personnel groupings and the schemes to put a stop to Ethan Garbers and UCLA. But for the most part today, it's been up and down the field for the Bruins, and someone on LSU's defense is going to have to make a momentum shifting play.
Saw Eric Bieniemy with his head into the play sheet. He said, listen, we're just still growing right now, trying to figure out who we are. I think they've taken already some big steps forward in this first half. Jones goes straight ahead, and he is just tripped up.
I like that concept because that mirrors a little bit of what Chip Kelly was doing in UCLA during his time there. Kind of the wide stretch, slow zone, creating some misdirection. And it's Garrett DiGiorgio, the starting right tackle, down with an injury.
And we will take a quick break. UCLA will be facing a 3rd and 5 when we return to foundation.org.
All right, you know that UCLA just had an injury at right tackle. Here's Braden Swinson working that side. He's their best pass rusher.
3rd down and 5. Garbers has to step up. Going to run it himself and get it and more. Right across that famed Tiger eye goes Ethan Garbers for a UCLA first down.
Wow, and that time, Nicky Prongos at right tackle had his hands full. He got just walked back right into the quarterback by Swinson, but there was, again, no panic by Garbers. You just feel that opening, 2 hands on the ball, you step up, and you get what you can go get. That, to me, is the moxie that Ethan Garbers brings this offense.
A 13-yard run to pick up the first down, and a timeout will be used by UCLA with just under 7 minutes to play in this highly competitive first half here at Tiger Stadium. And that's a surprise to many, and having watched UCLA a week ago. It is now time for our Aflac trivia question. And it focuses in on that man, the head coach for the Bruins, because Deshaun Foster is one of 3 current head coaches who have played in the Super Bowl. We asked you, who are the other 2? Deshaun Foster, who
he had a big touchdown run in that Super Bowl with the Panthers too.
Absolutely.
It wasn't just a guy. I mean, he's out there making plays.
Aflac trivia answer. Who are the other 2 to play in the Super Bowl? Current head coaches?
Yeah.
Trent and Prime.
Trent Dilfer at UAB now. Deion Sanders obviously doing his thing over in Colorado.
Foster had that touchdown in Super Bowl 38 when the Panthers played the Patriots. February 12th, he was hired as the new head coach. Remember, this drive started at their own 6-yard line, and now the 8th play as Ethan Garbers is managing things well. Dealing with the pressure, brought down, strip sack, Harold Perkins. And Braden Swinson got to him. Braden Swinson was the one who comes around. And the strip sack, their 4th sack of the day.
Yeah, it was a
turnover, LSU's got it.
It's a tight end, Mo Matavao, the tight end, trying to block Swinson one-on-one. That's not a great idea. I mean, tackles have their hands full. You just saw the play go. It's coming right here. And there's just speed around the edge, and it's just too much. They try to chip him with one tight end. He doesn't get it done. The other tight end doesn't get it done. And that's now the 5th sack for Swinson in the last 2 games. He has been wrecking the opponent's offensive game plan here recently for LSU.
Yeah, he was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week after what he did against South Carolina. Had 3 sacks then. So they take over after the strip sack. And Nussmeier comes back as they set it up on the inside to Kyron Lacey. Braden Swinson, what a playmaker he is defensively. And they need more of that.
Now a big sudden change situation for LSU's offense, trying to take advantage of that turnover. You're in great scoring position, and remember, when Garrett Nussmeier has seen one-on-one coverage, he's been taking shots deep down the field. It'll be interesting to see how UCLA tries to defend them in this area of the field.
Short pitch, Jackson, as they test that right side. Maybe a game about 3 years there. Swessinger with the tackle.
And conversely now, if you're UCLA's defense in the sudden change, after coming right back on the field after the turnover, you're trying to get a stop and trying to limit the damage here and force a field goal opportunity. So we saw them play coverage in their last 3rd down, had success with that. When they've gotten aggressive and blitzed, Nussmeier's carved them up.
Third down and 5. Great drive of the ball as he's able to connect with C.J. Daniels.
Another great anticipation throw. C.J. Daniels, he's just working the seam, and Nussmeier does a nice job keeping the safety and holding him in the middle of the field, not telegraphing where he's going to throw this, and when he releases it, a nice, easy, catchable ball.
23-yard reception. That is the 4th play they've had today that's gone over 20 yards. And now it's 1st and goal for the Tigers. As Williams makes his way to the 9-yard line.
It's just so much fun watching Nussmeier in Joe Sloan's offense. Joe Sloan, first-year play caller here. He obviously has big shoes to fill himself. Mike Denbrock now back at Notre Dame calling plays. We talked about what this offense was historically, how many points they scored in all the first-round NFL talent a year ago. And Sloan really trying to put his own stamp on the offense this season.
Does have play calling experience prior to being elevated on the staff here. Was play caller at La Tech. 2nd and goal. And again he goes to Daniels, and Daniels is met right away at the 5-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal from there, Jesse.
Yeah, and this has been an area of the field down inside the 10-yard line where Joe Sloan likes to dial up some rub routes and kind of get guys picked, use guys in motion and give them some access to get easier throws for Garrett Nussmeier. They've got a bevy of weapons, and I think if you're Nussmeier at this point with Lacey out on the field, C.J. Daniels we've talked about, Mason Taylor, one of the best tight ends in the country. I mean, you've got favorable matchups all over the field. Press coverage right now on both guys outside.
3rd and goal. Nussmeier to the end zone. And Kyron Lacey, incomplete, was the intended target.
Well, they had Kyron Lacey outside, one-on-one, and Devin Kirkwood, a big 6'3" corner. Oh, sorry, that was Kalen Moore. We talked about him being an impact player. He's made a couple of big pass breakups on 3rd downs in this game. In their scheme, oftentimes they keep him isolated, and they try to match coverage to the opposite direction but he's all alone by himself, and time again, he's been able to win those one-on-one matchups.
Kalen Moore with a nice play defensively, and Ramos has to come out for the short attempt, and with that, it's a full touchdown lead now for LSU. So the strip sack and the turnover by Swinson becomes a quick 3 points for the Tigers. Katie?
You know, Tess, Braden Swinson's grandmother, she sadly passed away during the first half of the USC game. He was told the news during halftime and was understandably devastated. Brian Kelly told Swinson he could sit out the second half if he needed, but he wanted to play, he wanted to continue on, and Blake Baker says since that moment, they've seen a change in Swinson. His work ethic, his focus, his approach, he's handled the loss by pouring himself into the game. He has a newfound purpose playing for his grandmother.
He has been playing so well, so difficult to deal with loss, let alone to find out while you're in the midst of competition, but he has been something special.
And playing with tremendous effort, obviously, and a heavy heart as well, and we talked about it, he is blowing people's offensive game plans up these last two games, and I think moving forward, this is all on tape. Offensive coordinators are not going to be sleeping as well, knowing that number 4 is coming up and lurking there on the edge. He has been a problem to block.
And our player check-in is presented by Allstate.
We talked about the success that Braden Swinson has had. First just using speed coming off the right side, now it's the left side. Whether they try to chip him with 2 different tight ends, it really doesn't matter. He's finding his way into the backfield. I think that's now the challenge for Eric Bieniemy calling plays for UCLA is you're going to have to mix up the protections, get different bodies trying to help out to block him. And you may want to think about moving the pocket and changing the launch point for Ethan Garbers, because right now, number 4 for LSU, he's got his target set and he is locked in.
Garbers 125 yards passing, the touchdown pass, but sacked 4 times already. And able to get it complete downfield as they got him out of the pocket, and it goes to Logan Loya.
That's what I'm talking about, Joe, right? It can't just be 5-7 yards behind center every single time and you let LSU pin their ears back. You got to move the launch point a little bit. Really nice play call by Bieniemy, buying his quarterback some time, making the throw easy, giving him the vision, and just nice throw in rhythm. See Perkins there just a tad bit late, but right into Logan Loya. You're going to see Loya get some more snaps now with Titus Mokiao Atimalala out with an injury. He's their starting slot receiver.
Loya was very active a year ago in this offense, leading them in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown catches. They come around with Shaw, and Shaw makes a man miss and another. And how about the son of David Shaw, the former head coach of Stanford, showing you the wiggle and explosive
ability. And I like the one thing I think that this offense had been lacking in the first 2 weeks was misdirection. And here you get the flow of LSU working to the left. You pitch it back to Shaw, and what a great job out in the open field, making people miss. And all of a sudden, it feels like they've got LSU's defense a little bit on their heels again.
It's a 9-yard run by Carter Shaw. Second and 1. Garbers and get out of the backfield to Harden, and Harden with a stiff arm and ridden down, but picks up the first down, crossing midfield. Greg Penn tracked him.
Eric Bieniemy's been dialing it up. Big plays. Today, 8 plays of 10 yards or more, and they've done it in a lot of different ways.
I think that stat shows you the kind of day that UCLA quarterback Ethan Garbers is having. 7 completions over 10 yards, and he's hit 7 different receivers.
That's the thing, Joe. He's spreading it around. So LSU right now, they can't lock in and hone in on one receiver specifically to double team.
Off the 2-minute timeout, a first down as he goes to Keegan Jones, who tries to spin. Ball comes out. The ball comes out, and Savion Jones with the recovery. What a costly turnover for UCLA.
It was Greg Penn that made the tackle and forced the fumble. It pops out, and Savion Jones was there. That was a big play. We were talking about it earlier, Joe. Somebody on LSU's defense that has been struggling in this one has to step up. It's a good check down decision. Penn makes the tackle. You see Jordan Gilbert get in late on the hit. And Savion Jones, Johnny on the spot, able to get the ball back now to the offense. About 1:51 to go, one timeout. And what a situation for LSU, because they would love to drive the field, steal a few more points, knowing UCLA is getting the ball back first in the second half.
And Jesse, that's back-to-back drives with fumbles by UCLA. They're going to take a look at this fumble. That's what the officials want to do. Here's what happened at the end of this play. Watch this knee.
The question is, does he still have possession of the football when his knee touches right there? Is the ball coming out at all? Is there any indicator? You see Penn's got his hand on the football, but is he ripping it loose before that knee hits?
I want to bring in Matt Austin, the longtime SEC official and our rules expert, and just ask the very simple question there. Does that shadow alone tell you that his knee, in fact, is down, Matt?
In my opinion, yes, because how can you tell? It sure looked like it was. Yeah, there could have been a slight gap there, but you got to go with what you can see. I think that puts the knee down.
Okay, and the ruling on the field was a fumble.
Was a fumble, so you need conclusive video evidence, indisputable video evidence to overturn that call. And based on what Matt just said right there, do they have that?
Matt, how do you see things here with the timing of the strip by Penn as well as the knee being down?
I'll be honest with you. I think the hand is pulling the ball, is moving the ball in his hand before the knee goes down. So I think this is a fumble.
Now, turnovers has been something Brian Kelly has been really pleased with. He obviously knows there have been struggles defensively, but a year ago they weren't getting too many of them. Early this season, ball's been bouncing their way a little bit more in that regard. And if this call does get overturned, man, it's a momentum shifting one, because it potentially sets up a big swing here with Garrett Nussmeier in this offense if they can get some more points before going into halftime.
It was Garbers going to Keegan Jones, who went ahead for 6 yards, and then this was ruled a fumble that was recovered by LSU. But watch that knee of Keegan Jones and watch the ball. And to your point, what a big swing call this could be, because UCLA with Garbers and the offense, they're finding the rhythm and coming down trying to tie this game. As Brian Kelly looks on, year number 3 for BK, comes right in. LSU wins the SEC West, produces a Heisman Trophy winner, and now this team.
And then conversely, if UCLA is able to hold possession and this thing gets overturned, they're in pretty good position themselves,
yes,
to score some points.
Absolutely.
And they're getting the ball back first in the second half. So this is a momentous play right now, and a momentous decision.
And to further review, it was determined that runner's right knee was down before he lost possession of the ball. It'll be second down for UCLA. Clock operator, please take 10 seconds off the game clock. It should be 1:41, 1:41. Thank you.
Jerry McGinn, who heads up this Big Ten crew that is working the game here at Tiger Stadium. And the crew looks at it, and UCLA gets the ball as Keegan Jones' knee was ruled down before the turnover.
So here's a situation that Eric Bieniemy is often talking to Ethan Garbers about. I need you to manage the specific situation here. 2-minute situation at the end of the half. He did a really good thing on that last play, checking it down when it wasn't there. You don't have to throw a touchdown pass on this next play. You got to just continue taking what LSU's defense gives you. And if that means it's checkdowns down the field to kick a field goal, then so be it. But the decision-making here at this position has to be very good by Garbers.
His 5th year of college football, his 4th with UCLA, but finally the man, his first year being the guy. Finished up last year as a starting quarterback, beat USC, won the bowl game, and then choppy waters with the performance, with the new staff, the new play caller. As you talked about the vernacular of the play calling, choppy waters early on before coming here to LSU, to number 16 LSU in this environment, and putting together a very good-looking first half of football is Ethan Garbers. Welcome to Death Valley, the sign says, and it is the first time that UCLA has read that, their first trip to ever play a game even in the state of Louisiana. 2nd and 4. Harden makes the cut, goes ahead, and it's a first down UCLA.
I love it too, because the entire playbook is open right now. If you're Eric Bieniemy, because of the timeouts in your back pocket, you can run it if you need to. Another injury, that's Jordan Gilbert, safety for LSU, Texas A&M transfer, now down on the ground. He wishes he was number 4. He wishes he was one of those D linemen that gets the single digit.
The new Booger would have a single digit with that body now. Mr. Peloton over here. And the number 4 right here,
Number 4.
Braden Swinson has
That's right.
been a heck of a guy.
Yeah, that's a guy that Ethan Garbers in this offensive line, they need to know where he's lining up each and every play. Right now, he's staying to the left side, working against the right tackle of UCLA. They've had an injury issue there. Looks like Garrett DiGiorgio is back in the game. That's good news for UCLA.
Flag comes in. That's going to be on Unijay. Ruben Unijay, the big left tackle.
False start. Offense, number 71, 5-yard penalty, remains first down. There is an option for a 10-second runoff, but LSU has declined it. Clock will start on the ready for play.
First and 15 after the penalty. Harden with the reception and met immediately and taken down there 35-yard.
That was an incredible catch that time too by TJ Harden, because I think Whit Weeks actually tipped that ball on his blitz. He actually got a hand on it and he was still able to make the catch.
Number 2 timeouts remain for UCLA. Garber's going to take a shot downfield, and staying with it was Gilmer. Stamps had coverage. Gilmer stayed with it. Excellent job by the true freshman.
Well, Ashton Stamps is the corner that a lot of offenses have been attacking deep down the field, and that time the true freshman's able to go up and kind of volleyball tip it to himself. And there's another great catch. 2 back-to-back for the Bruins.
Would you look at UCLA here? Harden drives ahead, but Quasi Gilmer.
Progressive pylon cam here giving you a look at this. Up over the top. Stamps looked like he may have batted it for a second, but really good focus and concentration by the true freshman outside.
2nd and goal. Garbers sprint left, looking for an option to the end zone. And a flag comes in as Carter Shaw was the intended receiver, and J.K. Johnson was there defensively with coverage.
Pass interference calls have been happening all season long for this LSU secondary, and we've seen one guy just get beat on a fade route, and now PI in the end zone, going to set up UCLA closer to the goal line.
Holding. Defense, number 12. At the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
And I like the play call again by Eric Bieniemy, because he's moving the pocket and getting Garbers rolling to his left. J.K. Johnson, the Ohio State transfer, just getting too handsy. So here you go if you're UCLA, and you know they'd love to just be able to line this thing up. They're going to put Garbers under center, turn around, hand it off to Harden, see if they can be physical.
That's what they do, but he can't get there. He was met immediately by Weeks.
And you kind of go back to the decision by Brian Kelly now to not allow the 10 seconds to run off the clock a few plays ago. Had they had done that there, UCLA would only have 6 left. He's actually really helped UCLA out in this situation with more time.
Timeout is used by UCLA. They have 1 remaining. 2nd and goal with 16 seconds to play. And they're going to add a little time to the clock here in this first half.
Got to give UCLA so much credit. Coming in here, getting off to the fast start, really in all three phases, Joe, offense, defense, and special teams, putting them in a really nice position here at the end of the first half. You know, I don't know how many people out there in anticipation of this game thought it would only be a 7-point contest up to this point, but UCLA has an opportunity to tie this thing up going into halftime. And again, as a reminder, they're getting the ball back first in the second half.
Second and goal off the timeout. Garbers wide open and scores. Flag is down. Rico Flores with the catch. We'll see if it stays that way. It's a UCLA touchdown as of now.
Holding. Offense. Number 71. 10-yard penalty from the previous line of scrimmage.
Unije, the left tackle, flagged again.
Wow, and LSU lucky and fortunate on this. Unije's on this side. He's the one who's going to get flagged. There was a coverage bust on the back end. He's working against Savion Jones. That would have been the second time we've seen an LSU coverage bust for a touchdown pass. Very, very fortunate with that holding call, and now UCLA is backed up. Now here, if you're Ethan Garbers, you have to understand, you just threw a touchdown, it got called back. You don't have to get it back here on this next throw. He's thrown interceptions this season into the opponent's end zone. If it's not there, you got to throw this thing away. You can't take a sack. It's got to be a quick decision. Touchdowns, checkdowns, or throwaways.
Second and goal. One timeout in the bag. Garbers to the end zone, and it's incomplete over Matavao. So now 8 seconds remain, a third and goal and one timeout.
Yeah, and you've got time to run this play. That time just not on the same page with the tight end, just trying to throw back shoulder there at the end zone. But I like the idea. That was a bang-bang play. It was coming out of his hands quickly. Either his guy was getting it or nobody was. I think Eric Bieniemy's got to go back to something similar on this next one.
Third and goal. Play clock counting down. Here's Garbers. Steps up. Throws to the end zone, and that ball is caught by Loya. Logan Loya with a touchdown catch with 2 seconds remaining in the first half.
That is just an incredible throw by Garbers that time. Savion Jones coming off the edge forces him to step up. Then he's got Major Burns at safety right in his face. None of it affected him. He was able to keep his eyes downfield. He takes a massive shot right in the gut by Major Burns, but finds Loya for a massive TD with just 2 seconds to go here at the end of the half.
Incredible drive by Ethan Garbers as Pagani ties up this game. UCLA, who was struggling and looked so bad last week, comes here to Death Valley and puts forth this kind of a first half.
Yeah, Savion Jones is bringing the heat here. The guy you got to watch is Major Burns, because he's kind of spying, waiting, and he's going to deliver a very clean hit right into the gut. And still, Garbers lifted off the air, is able to somehow follow through and keep the nose of the football down. I don't know how he did that. He puts this accurately right on the face mask of Logan Loya. What an impact Loya has had early in this game too, Joe. You mentioned it earlier. He was their leading receiver a season ago. Only had 1 catch coming into this game. But plays like that, Eric Bieniemy, Deshaun Foster, they like it. And they have every reason to. They have been very impressive in this first half.
They really have. Give credit to this coaching staff for delivering the message this week. As UCLA has come out, they've really believed, they have played disciplined.
Yeah, and they've been resilient too, because remember, just 2 plays ago, Garbers threw a touchdown pass, but Unije had a holding penalty and moved them back. And on the very next play, with only 8 seconds to go, they're able to come through.
Now you sit here, you talk about a UCLA team that's really embracing being the underdogs, but they have such belief with their new head coach. They believe in enthusiasm. They believe in discipline.
Yeah.
Those 2 things, and those are like core pillars that he says every day. those core pillars are showing up here.
It's so true. They took the field with tremendous energy, and we've seen really good execution. Guys locked in. Offense, we've seen it up and down the field. On defense, they've gotten the stops when they've needed to. They've kicked a long field goal. They punted and pinned their opponent inside the 5-yard line. They're doing lots of things well.
In Baton Rouge. And Jess, UCLA is going to get the ball to start.
They are, yeah. They're rolling with momentum, too. Scoring a touchdown with just 2 seconds left in the first half. They get the ball back first. It's important they're able to capitalize and keep that mojo going.
And their quarterback, Ethan Garbers, is a huge reason why.
He's been dialed in, really impressed with his decision-making. Early in the game, 3rd down, getting blitzed, find the hot to your running back out of the backfield. Later in the drive, 4th down, same deal. Zone blitz on the defense, you know where your answer is. He sees the busted coverage, hits Peterson as tight end for a touchdown. He's done a nice job in pre-snap to finding the one-on-one matchups. This time to Quasi Gilmer up over Ashton Stamps. And then at the end of the half, you throw a touchdown, penalty brings it back. Very next play, Joe, honestly, that might be the best throw I've seen early this year. That was incredible what Garbers did on that touchdown pass to Logan Loya. You see what he's done in the first half, his first 2 games versus the first half today, playing way better.
Berger squares those shoulders, and Jalen Berger with a chunk play to open up this second half. And again, the LSU defense giving up a play over 10 yards. That went for 13.
Well, these outside stretch runs, you saw them all the time with Chip Kelly. You didn't see very many of them, though, in the first 2 games for UCLA. But Eric Bieniemy always adding to the playbook and to the schemes, and something that LSU hadn't seen on film. And UCLA is having success with these slow developing stretch run plays.
Keep it on the ground again, this time just a yard to Berger as Savion Jones makes the tackle.
Well, it's important they get the run game going, too. We talked about how good Ethan Garbers has been, and he's been great, but they have not had a lot of balance. Only 8 rushing yards in that first half for the Bruins. They got to take a little bit of the heat off of number 4, slow down this LSU pass rush that already has 4 sacks. And the best way you do that, Joe, obviously, you run the ball, you keep 3rd downs manageable, you try to keep LSU on their heels.
And obviously the sack number impacting that rush yards stat. 4 sacks for negative 34 yards. It's a 2nd down and 9. Pressure on Garbers, but he gets it downfield and just beyond the outstretched arm of Rico Flores as Stamps had coverage.
So LSU's defense has had problems today. One player who we haven't talked enough about is Harold Perkins at LSU. He was one of our big impact players. He's a guy that's expected to get drafted very early in next year's NFL draft. Number 7 for LSU just has 1 tackle in this game, and normally it's 3rd downs, situations like this, but they're able to get him on the edge, use the speed, blitz him, spy him on the quarterback. It's really where I think he makes his biggest impact in games, but just have not said his name enough early in this one.
You see him hovering over the middle of that defense now. Delayed rush. They set up the screen to Berger. Blockers in front as he's going to be a few yards shy of that line to gain. Tackled by Jair Brown.
It was a nice job by Bieniemy anticipating the blitz, so you set up the running back screen, but give LSU's defense a lot of credit. Rallying to the football, getting a stop. UCLA now brings on their punting unit. That's a stop I think LSU needed really badly, Joe, to try to get some confidence going here in the second half.
Xavion Thomas, freshman All-America punt returner at Mississippi State, and now trying to add to his career at LSU. It's Brody Richter on to punt. And is this going to stay in? Wow. What a great job by Richter to place it there as UCLA able to pin LSU.
Well, as good as Garbers has been, Joe, been impressed also with Garrett Nussmeier on the other side.
So look at our AT&T connected cam.
He's got C.J. Daniels here in the slot. I've been waiting to use this player highlight all game. He's running a seam route right down the field, and Nussmeier's going to throw this thing early, but what I love is he throws him open. He's supposed to just be running right down the field, throwing it away from the defender, protecting the throw, great anticipation, and great location. That's something you've been seeing from Garrett Nussmeier early and often this season.
And now they will start off on their own 4-yard line. Their worst starting field position today. Josh Williams is going to help solve that problem out across the 10.
He's a really nice, patient runner. He does a good job of letting the blocks up front set themselves up. He's a physical guy that feels right at home running between the tackles. And I know everybody's excited about the true freshman Caden Durham based on what he did against South Carolina, but Josh Williams is an every down guy for LSU and a guy that they can count on, especially in a game like this, tied in the second half.
He scored the go-ahead touchdown with just over a minute to play at South Carolina, wearing that famed number 18 jersey. Second and 3. And Nussmeier gets it complete to Anderson for a first down. Katie.
Well, Tess, you'll love this. Deshaun Foster just told me that in last night's team meeting, he played the Buster Douglas fight against Mike Tyson. He was 42-1 odds. It was the greatest upset in modern day sports. He said, I told them at half, 2 more rounds. You got 2 more rounds in this thing.
One of the great upsets of all time. It's funny, we were visiting with him yesterday. He said, yeah, I'm using the Hoosiers analogy. I don't know that a lot of the guys on the team have actually seen Hoosiers. So he goes with the Buster Douglas Mike Tyson fight from February of 1990.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to throw some haymakers and set them up, too, if you're going to be Buster Douglas in this one. A nice job there by UCLA and their defense getting into the backfield. Devin Apu, the Notre Dame transfer, registering a tackle for loss.
Their first TFL of the day, Bruins defense. And now it'll be his 2nd and 11. Good protection. And right to Mason Taylor as the big man strides down the field.
UCLA that time had 3 defenders running with Kyron Lacey. Nobody took Mason Taylor out of the slot. That was a big bust in the back end. Watch everybody go with number 2. All 3 of them right there. Everybody forgets about Taylor. And that's a guy you just can't miss. He's one of the best weapons on this LSU offense.
Their 5th play over 20 yards today. That goes for 33 yards, the reception by Taylor. Play action. Nussmeier gonna crank it up, go downfield, and just beyond C.J. Daniels. It was to the inside of the striding Daniels.
You know, going back to Nussmeier and that last completion to Mason Taylor, you know, a reason why you know you're good as a tight end is when in the offense they scheme plays to be thrown to you. Oftentimes, tight ends are the 2nd or the 3rd progression. You're throwing them flats. Mason Taylor is just a different animal, though, and he's already an LSU great. 91 catches, a career best for any LSU tight end coming in to this game. He's a weapon that Nussmeier has to keep looking for. Right now, lined up in the slot at the top.
2nd down, Nussmeier extending the play, and incomplete as Anderson was crossing, but To'ia was tracking down Nussmeier.
You got to point out, we mentioned earlier that the All-American right tackle, Emory Jones, left the game in the first half with an injury. He's now back in for LSU, so that's really, really good news. We talk about this being the best tackle tandem in all of college football, and 3rd downs like this, if you're Joe Sloan, the offensive coordinator, you don't want to waste tight ends and running backs helping them block. You want as many guys out in routes as possible to help Nussmeier.
3rd and 10.
I wonder if that was Femi Oladejo, if he was barking out signals, trying to simulate a snap count there. He got a bit of a flinch.
Disconcerting signals on the defense. Number 2, by rule, it's a delay of game, 5-yard penalty.
You can see him at the line of scrimmage, and he was barking something. You can't do that. It's a new rule, and they're doing a good job enforcing that throughout the season. See number 2, he's up here, and he's just kind of barking right there. You see there's a little bit of a flinch from DJ Chester, but you can't simulate the snap if you're on D.
I mean, he went so far to do like the hard count head nod.
That was Brett Favre.
So 3rd down and 5. Here's Williams, and it's a first down, LSU.
And this offensive line for LSU, Joe, they have to be a strength, especially at this part of the game. All tied up, you got to be able to run the ball. Who's going to be the physically more dominant side in the trenches? Playing at home again in this humidity doesn't seem like it's really affected UCLA up to this point, but one thing Brian Kelly wants this offense to be is physical, and this is a time to enforce your will.
Nussmeier looking for an option on first down, checks down to Durham. And Durham near the 30-yard line, the much talked about true freshman running back who had a huge game last week at South Carolina.
And I mean, they had all day to throw this football. Great job by LSU's offensive line that time, giving Nussmeier an opportunity to find the check down. Watch the right guard right here. Literally, this is like a misdemeanor. He just slams the UCLA defender into the ground.
2nd and 5, quickly to the outside, but unable to turn the corner was C.J. Daniels, so it'll be 3rd and short.
And he's impressive, Joe, watching C.J. Daniels. And I feel like every game this year he continues to get better and better. He's athletic and he's sudden. The Liberty transfer, the sooner he emerges in this offense, the faster double coverage comes away from Kyron Lacey. So number 4 is really starting to assert himself. It's not just Mason Taylor, it's not just Kyron Lacey, Aaron Anderson. They've got a lot of options outside at receiver.
Remember, this drive started at their own 4-yard line. This is going to be the 10th play of the drive, a 3rd and 1. And it's going to be a first down as Taylor goes up and over. And a well-designed play, Nussmeier to Taylor. First down, Tigers.
And I thought this was LSU's best offensive play with Jade Daniels, because you're faking this inside and you're just trying to freeze everybody on defense to sneak the tight end out underneath. A little play fake in the past. Jaden Daniels might actually run that himself. That's not going to be an option for Garrett Nussmeier, obviously, but good quick decision.
Williams catches a seam and bursts straight ahead.
Well, it looks a little different now with Emory Jones back in the game, doesn't it?
It does.
Running to the left side, running to the right side, pulling guys, and it just makes all the difference in the world. When you've got guys that are going to play on Sunday and are going to start on Sunday up front, you need those guys in the game. That's showing up for the Tigers right now.
Second and 4. Williams again. And this time he is wrapped up. Does spin towards the 10-yard line. The 3rd and short.
And this has been a problem, this down and distance for LSU this year. There were only 8 of 16 on 3rd and 3 and short coming into this game. That was
amazing.
Worst in the SEC, yeah. And we talk about how Brian Kelly wants this offense to be physical. Well, it's moments like this that you got to demonstrate that. When the defense knows you want to run the football, with this offensive line with 115 combined starts, you got to be able to put your hand in the ground, drive off the ball, and go get this.
Let's see if they can do that on 3rd and 2. And the answer is yes. And they do it exactly the road grading way you described.
Yeah, no mystery right here. We're getting a center on the nose. Left guard Dellinger going to chip up and get a linebacker, work the double team, and that's just, we're doing this. We know you're doing it. Everybody in the stadium and watching on TV knows we're doing it. You still can't stop us.
1st and goal, LSU. Trying to retake the lead here. Nussmeier looking for the fade. Nearly a one-handed catch by Kyron Lacey. It goes incomplete. Davies had coverage.
That is great coverage by Davies. That's the one throw that Nussmeier and Lacey have not been able to connect on this year. That's like the 6th or 7th time in the red zone they've tried to fade. And there's a hold, by the way, by Davies that they missed on that one. That should have been defensive holding.
Wow.
Still, Kyron Lacey almost.
Defense, number 6. Foul occurred in the end zone. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. 1st and goal.
Did they throw a flag into the yellow end zone and nobody saw it? Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
I don't think anybody knew there was a flag. There should have been. We're watching it on the replay, and Davies knows it.
Somewhere there's a flag in there. Find it. It's like an optical illusion.
Like, where's Waldo?
It is. 1st and goal. Williams behind that big offensive line and in.
such a great start by LSU in the second half. Your defense takes the field first. You get the ball right back, starting in your own end. And Garrett Nussmeier and this offense go 14 plays, 96 yards, and a lot of it, Joe, was just old school. Smash mouth, run the football, winning the line of scrimmage in the trenches. This is a really good-looking start for the LSU Tigers here.
And LSU retakes the lead. Ramos with the extra point.
I'll take that back. Now, if he had the flat top underneath, that would be aggressive.
Here's Garbers on first down. And Garbers nearly was able to get it to Bryce Pierre, but threw it to the outside. Garbers and Nussmeier. They've been making this an entertaining one. And this will be the quarterback matchup that we will see in that primetime game.
Well, Nico Iamaleava has been awesome this year, throwing it and running it. Jackson Arlen's looked good at times, too. Just too many turnovers. And the problem is that Tennessee's not just about offense this season. They play defense also. They have not allowed a touchdown in 16 quarters. So Jackson Arnold in that running game is going to have to be going.
Garbers has the quick out to Rico Flores Jr.
I mean, Garbers right now is playing at a high level. And remember, Joe, he's been sacked 4 times. And there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that when you get hit that often, your eyes start to come down. You start worrying about everything else. And Eric Bieniemy's helping him out by continuing to move the pocket and give him access. Here's a critical third down coming up. They have not been able to block Braden Swinson in this game. And what does Eric Bieniemy do from a protection standpoint to try and give Ethan Garbers an opportunity?
Let's watch if number 4 can get after the other number 4. There he is, looking for his spot off the edge on 3rd and 7.
How'd you see this?
Nice catch, back shoulder, Sturdivant. Turning to the outside and getting it.
And there's Sturdivant just showing you the catch radius. A 6'3", working the back shoulder fade against Ashton Stamps. And that is a perfectly located throw. There is no defense possible for that. Ethan Garbers puts it where only his guy can make the play.
23-yard reception. As Harden struggling to find any room on the inside. This is a completely different Ethan Garbers today.
Yeah, you know, I think Bieniemy is helping him out with some of these play calls and getting him moved around. You know what Bieniemy's doing a good job, too, of, Joe?
What's that?
He's changing up the tempo in this game as well. They started the game huddling a lot. That last play, they came right back to the line of scrimmage. There have been a few snaps in this game. They've caught LSU off guard.
Legal substitution on the defense. 5 yards. 12 players on the field. Remains first down.
And this is what I'm talking about. You know, if you're LSU, you're like, oh, they're taking their time. They don't play in humidity. They want to catch their breath. Oh, wait, no, they're at the line of scrimmage. We don't have our people on the field. So Eric Bieniemy, it's not just staying one step ahead with the play calls, but also mixing up the tempo. It's been impressive.
Jones off left tackle. Keegan Jones, another first down for UCLA. Hard running by Keegan Jones, the veteran. He's been on this roster since 2019.
Really nice job. Pair of shins gets blocked on the outside and sealed by the tight end right here. And that allows the change of pace back Keegan Jones to get to the outside and use that speed.
Boy, Mataval, the tight end, number 88, he's lucky he released on that block. Just another second more, and who knows if we would have had a penalty flag, but it goes for a 17-yard run by Jones. Well blocked, well played. Here come the confident Bruins again. Berger, he finds a hole, and it's another first down. Finally tackled by Weeks.
And another great job again by UCLA up front with a double team.
Flag is down at the 22-yard line. Sean Foster. He's got his team in the right mindset.
Personal foul. Legal low block. Offense, number 72. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Remains first down.
They'll walk it back, but this team is out there fighting and using power and moving the ball.
Yeah, this is DeGiorgio right here, and he's going to be coming down and getting a block on Penn, and he's in the blocking area at the snap, so he's allowed to cut, but he's got to do it from 10 to 2 in front of the defender, and that time kind of coming in from the side. That's why he's called for that illegal block.
The first-year head coach, the Hall of Famer as a running back, Deshaun Foster. Penalty will make for a first down and 20. Garbers gets it complete underneath Logan Loya, who had the spectacular touchdown just before halftime.
And that's his best route, Joe. I went back and watched film last year, and Logan Loya working the middle of the field on option routes and kind of working against the leverage of the defender, finding soft spots and zones. Really has a nice feel for that. So a good idea by Eric Bieniemy here. Stack releasing him, giving him access off the ball, and just letting him get open. If he's going to get more snaps now because of the injury to Mukiao Atimalala, then those are good routes for him to run.
Second and 12. Oh, ball is out again. The flag is down, ball is out as DeGiorgio has to jump on it all the way back past midfield. As they came with the play action, the end around, a lot of confusion, a lot of traffic. We'll check on the flag. We'll see how this gets cleaned up. That thing was messy every which way.
Eagle formation on the offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. Penalties decline. Third down.
I think they also missed a holding penalty that time on DeGiorgio against Savion Jones coming off the edge. Lucky that wasn't called. But 2 plays in a row now, they're going backwards. Here's Jones coming off the edge. I thought this was a hold. He kind of hooked him right there. That ball kind of looked like, I don't know if it slipped out of his hands or if it got knocked out, but what was a promising looking drive, all of a sudden now UCLA going all the way backwards. So if you're LSU here, you're expecting draw, you're expecting screen.
They were at the 27-yard line at one point. You see how upset Eric Bieniemy is, as now it's 3rd and 35. They were in position to try to tie this game, and now 3rd and 35, and they just settle for the screen with Berger. As Berger is taken down by Swinson, who's been everywhere today.
So here's the situation now. If you're Deshaun Foster, you're on the 40-yard line. It's kind of that no man's land. You anticipate that it may be out of reach for Bagani, your kicker. You don't want to punt it, even though you have been punting him. You know what? They do bring the punter on. I was going to say twice they've been able to pin them down deep. To make them have to drive the field. And I think that's the thought process right now if you're Deshaun Foster.
So Richter on to punt. We'll look for the pin as Thomas will set up his heels just around the 9-yard line. Nose down, watch for the backspin, see if it checks up. And a fair catch inside the 10, so that is where LSU will take over.
Virginia Tech week 1. Clark Lee. He's got those guys playing hard in Nashville.
Nussmeier throws it just to the outside to Anderson, who quickly turns the corner. You see that burst of speed he has.
Well, it's an RPO. It's like a shortstop. That thing came flying out of Garrett Nussmeier's hands quickly, kind of sidearmed it, had to negotiate around Kane Madrano on the edge to get it to Anderson quickly. Good job with the ball handling that time at the quarterback position.
13-yard reception by Anderson. Nussmeier going to sidearm it again. This time Jackson. And what a great run after the catch by Caleb Jackson for a Tigers first down.
I just like how quickly the quarterback got him the ball that time on the check down to allow Jackson to go make something happen. A lot of running backs, when they're true sophomores, they do not look like him. He is 235 pounds. He has massive legs, spends a lot of time in the squat rack. If you're going to tackle him, you definitely want to bring some friends.
11 yards after the catch on that play. Final half minute of the third quarter. First down, LSU again. Nussmeier looking like he's finding his rhythm. He checks down. It's Jackson again. Trucks a defender and goes forward for an extra yard.
Well, the reason these throws are open is because UCLA's linebackers are bailing so fast. These guys are getting out so quickly, and this is just pitch and catch, just easy underneath. Everybody vacating the middle of the field, and he's not even wasting time looking downfield.
As we come to the end of the third quarter, it was a 96-yard touchdown drive in this third quarter. That
And Callie, Brian, 2 stops and a score. What do you think of the response you've seen from your group coming out of half?
Well, it was a great drive, 98-yard drive. That was a great response. And then we came up with a couple of big plays on defense. And, you know, we need complementary football. We do something really good on offense and, you know, so-so on defense. We got the stop. Now it's about, you know, obviously scoring here and getting some separation. So it's a big drive for us here. Keep the momentum going into the fourth quarter.
Thank you.
Yeah. BK's team, as they start the fourth quarter, another drive where they're able to get out of bad field position. And 2nd and 1 will start this fourth quarter. And it's going to be close to the line of the game with Caleb Jackson on the carry.
Look back at LSU's drive chart in this game. They're kind of back and forth that first half, and then all of a sudden this last drive you just saw here really kind of kick things off in the second half, starting back on their own end and just running the football, Joe. That's what I think was the difference, was their physicality up front, controlling the line of scrimmage and the clock. It's something they want to do here on this drive as well.
Where they have a distinct advantage. First down. We'll keep it on the ground again with Jackson. There's a good example as he brings it out to midfield.
Yeah, and KJ Wallace is trying to tackle Jackson, and he's literally going for a 4-yard ride on that play. And remember, we told you earlier, UCLA has injuries at the defensive tackle position. Keanu Williams, a starter, transfer from Oregon, out with an Achilles, and Toia, the other D-tackle, is playing, but he's hurt with a hip.
Nussmeier just stepped up enough as you saw the edge rusher coming in, reaching out his arm, and then a smart move by Nussmeier as he's able to get it to Jackson for just a couple of yards. It was Oladejo who was coming after him.
Down 7 now, Joe. If you're UCLA, you got to have this. You've got to find a way to get off the field. And they've tried pressures with minimal success. They've tried zone coverage, but now Garrett Nussmeier's hitting the checkdowns at running back. They've got a lot of bodies up right now at the line of scrimmage. Who's dropping and who's coming?
3rd down and 2. Jackson spinning free and getting the first down. And look at how pumped up Nussmeier is.
That was incredible. That time, Femi Oladejo, he was signaling to his team, the ball's going to the left. It's going to be a run to the left, and that's initially where it was headed. Look at him right here. He's saying it's coming this way. He's going to actually cut it back. Interesting.
Nussmeier. All kinds of time, and then couldn't complete it as Oladejo got the hit on him.
Well, that's the first time that I've seen Nussmeier miss a guy wide open underneath. He had Shelton Sampson running on a drag route. Nussmeier knows it too. Hey, I should have just given that to you. He's trying to look for a bigger play down the field. And we talked about this a lot with Ethan Garbers on the other side. Just take what the defense gives you. Take the easy completions. You take the profit. You just keep plugging along.
Quickly gets it out of his hand, and just tripped up was Daniels.
I got to say, Kalen Moore has had an outstanding game.
He has.
He has been so good outside, breaking passes up, and like that, tackling the catch, limiting the yak. These receivers, like C.J. Daniels, man, they are so athletic and good once they have it in their hands. But Kalen Moore, the Cal transfer on an island all game long, has been showing up for UCLA.
Yeah, UCLA actually his 3rd school in 4 years. He was at Colorado, then Cal, and now UCLA. It's a 3rd down and 8. They're 3 for 3 on 3rd down in this half. Let's see if they can get this on 3rd and 8. And tiptoeing there was Mason Taylor as he reaches out for that line to gain, and it is a 1st down for LSU.
Well, this is an all-out blitz this time by UCLA. They're able to just escape Mason Taylor. Everybody's coming here, and he's able to just kind of escape out and leak and get underneath it. He gives a little bit of a chip to soften that edge, and a good decision by Nussmeier.
Here's Durham. Here goes the freshman sensation, Caden Durham. And the Golden Band from Tigerland is going to play into the night. A 35-yard touchdown, Caden Durham. And Garrett Nussmeier, Jesse, is seemingly in complete control of this offense right now.
He's in such a good rhythm and
Yes.
making such quick decisions. And you're seeing it on these check down throws these last couple of plays. This time he's got Durham leaking out of the backfield. And Durham's going to get a little bit of a block before getting out into his route. And it's Swessinger at linebacker right here. He's going to have him essentially one-on-one once he leaks. And I think Nussmeier knew once his running back had the football that with his speed.
Long drives by LSU in this second half. A 96-yarder, now the 92-yarder that Durham had the 35-yard touchdown on. Let's check in with Kevin in the studio.
Tess, number 7 Mizzou, trailing most of the day. They take their first lead of the game against Vandy. It's Marcus Carroll, 3-yard touchdown. So right now it's 20-13, that game over in the SEC network. Back to you, Jesse and Katie.
And got the gold jerseys on. We got the rare purple jerseys on during the daytime. And then tonight you got the red bandana jerseys up in Chestnut Hill to honor Wells Crowther, the great 9/11 hero.
That's one of the great traditions, by the way, I have to say right now, I think, in college football. What they do at Boston College is very, very special.
That'll be on the ACC network tonight. Trailing by 2 touchdowns now. Garber going to take a shot downfield and cannot connect with Logan Loya.
Nice coverage by Major Burns that time. And Joe, you had mentioned those 2 long drives, the 92-yarder and the 96-yarder by LSU. It's put so much pressure on UCLA now. Great job swatting that away. But the pressure on UCLA, now down 2 touchdowns, they also ate so much clock. So it's forcing them to have to be a little bit more aggressive, maybe sooner than they'd like. They've made a living in this game, taking the underneath throws when available, but now if you're Ethan Garbers, you're thinking to yourself, man, we need to get some chunk plays.
Goes on the slant of Loya, and it works out well. And that's a first down for the Bruins.
And this is what makes Loya special, too. We talked about him in the option routes, but the quickness off the line of scrimmage. Watch him here in the slot. That's an incredible job against Burns, winning on the inside slant, creating separation and giving Ethan Garbers an easy place, an easy target to throw that. He's had a nice impact being back in the lineup.
See, Eric Vandermeer wants a little urgency to the line. Clock counting down 10.5 minutes, trailing now by 2 touchdowns. Garbers, shallow cross underneath as Sturdivant comes up with the catch.
But it's interesting, though, Joe. This is a part of the game now where there's an LSU player down.
That's Harold
Looks
Perkins.
like Harold Perkins.
That is Harold Perkins.
Wow, that's not a guy that LSU can afford to lose.
This is Harold Perkins being helped off the field moments ago.
Yeah, and this is the play. Sturdivant's a big receiver at 6'3", running the drag route. Perkins hits him. It's a clean hit. Joe, when you and I watched it live, we thought it was his shoulder, but then watching him off the field, he was limping a little bit.
Garbers gobbled up and sacked again as he is brought down right away. That was Suggs getting to him.
Yeah, JVR Suggs just winning one-on-one against Holsteg right here. Fakes outside, rips, and comes underneath. A lot of the pressure on Garbers tonight has been coming from the edge, that time right up in his lap. Now sets up 3rd and long with Braden Swinson out there getting set to pin his ears back.
5 sacks for LSU.
And if you're UCLA, you feel like you need to get this. Your defense hasn't been able to get off the field the last 2 drives, so a little bit of urgency here. You've got to find an answer for that guy right there.
Swinson stalking. Here he comes. 3rd and 14. Garbers extends the play. Flag is down as they had to deal with the pass rush. And that ball is in the hands of Gilbert. An interception by Gilbert.
It's going to be a holding penalty on Unije, the left tackle working against Braden Swinson.
Holding. Offense. Number 71. Penalties decline. Run of the play. 4th down.
So the pass rush again for Braden Swinson.
Taco Bell Live Más student section. All season long, student sections across the country competing to be the Taco Bell Live Más student section of the year. You can download the app to learn more. 3 touchdowns for Garrett Nussmeier and a 2-touchdown lead for LSU, coming off the 2nd UCLA turnover today, the interception moments ago. Nussmeier goes against the grain, back across, and gets it complete to Aaron Anderson. And there is Josh Heupel, the former Oklahoma star, the former Oklahoma assistant coach, now bringing his highly ranked Tennessee team to Oklahoma for their SEC debut the Sooners are making. That's coming up in prime time.
They look for real too, Joe, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not just offense. They can run it and they can throw it, but they are different on defense this year, and their defensive line has been playing lights out.
Very talented there.
Whoa.
They go underneath as it's Thomas getting involved. There's just so much traffic. Now, you mentioned Tennessee and the balance that they have, number 6 teams in the country.
Well, we're used to seeing the tempo, and this is not strange at all. They run more plays than anybody, and they get tons of yards. The difference, though, is on defense. And they have not allowed a touchdown through 16 quarters this year. Think about that. Consistency. Every single game, and it's up front in the trenches where I think Tennessee has made the biggest strides.
It's the 3rd longest streak in school history, by the way, not giving up an offensive touchdown in 16 straight quarters at Tennessee defense. 2nd and 11, and the whistles come in. This is going to be actually a timeout. And you can see Brian Kelly
I'm
wants to talk things over.
Pretty surprised in this drive, by the way, Joe, that they're not just running the ball and turning around and handing it off conventionally. They're still throwing the football.
They are.
Up 2 touchdowns. You just want to kind of bleed the clock, and their offensive line has kind of gotten into a rhythm, gotten a bit of a lather, but they're letting Nussmeier fire downfield.
Yeah, I think that crowd that likes to go out on a Saturday night to, taste Chef Patrick's food at Ruffino's is going to be talking about Nussmeier a bit. You replace a Heisman-winning quarterback, and you come out and you have this guy with this arm talent, you're in good shape.
Yeah, it's a good point. And, Joe, it got me thinking to last year when you and I were calling LSU games, and we were asking Brian Kelly, you got Jaden Daniels, right? You got this Heisman guy. Why do you let him run so much? He's taking all these massive hits. Don't you want to protect him? He told us, well, because we got that guy right there.
That's right.
And if Jaden Daniels gets hurt, our offense is going to be fine with Garrett Nussmeier. He has always been confident in his signal caller. With his performance early this season, you can see why.
You see Harold Perkins walking off. Left the game injured earlier in this 4th quarter. Jackson, well blocked, and a good spin for extra yardage. A 2nd down run by Caleb Jackson.
Well, going back, we just saw Harold Perkins. You see him there. It looks like he's exiting the stadium, and that is bad news. And Joe, you've said this multiple times. One of the most unique talents in the country on defense, Katie, and that's a big loss for LSU.
Yeah, it is, Jesse. He's been ruled out with a knee injury, and obviously where we are in this game, it's not necessarily the biggest deal. But when you look to their schedule, they've got South Alabama next week, and then they've got an off week. So you hope that if this is a serious knee injury, he's able to rest before they've got Ole Miss coming to town.
That'll be a big one, Katie. 3rd down and 3. Nussmeier gets it complete to Lacey, and it's another 1st down, and they just keep using clock and extending drives. Remember, they had the 2 drives that combined for nearly 12 minutes, those long
Yeah, it just sucked up the clock. Their defense has also played a lot better here in the 2nd half after some busts and penalties and allowing big shots down the field in the 1st half. But after Katie's report, I do wonder, Can the LSU defense keep that up down the stretch with the schedule they have without Harold Perkins on the field?
Just gave you that all-access shot of him heading into the locker room there. First down run, Jackson again, as he's inside the 15-yard line.
This is what LSU would love to be able to do week in, week out. They've got 3 pretty big running backs and a big-time offensive line. I think to navigate the schedule in the SEC, they got some big games coming up. Their schedule sets up pretty nice in conference compared to some other schools, but they've got to be able to rely on Williams and Jackson and Durham, who had a big touchdown catch in the second half. He's really coming on for this offense as well. Xavier Thomas comes in the game. They line him up sometimes in the backfield, give him the ball as well. Running the ball is going to be very important for LSU.
Nussmeier nearly spun right into the pass rush as it was Medrano coming in.
I was mentioning the schedule, pretty good, especially when you consider who you don't play if you're LSU. And it's Georgia, and it's Texas, and it's Missouri, and it's Tennessee, and then some big-time home games too. Alabama coming to town, Ole Miss, as Katie just told you, Oklahoma coming in as well. This is one they can navigate. Even with the loss early on to USC, they can get back in this thing and put themselves in contention to reach the college football playoff. But Joe, they've got to get more consistent on defense.
That was exactly what BK told Katie earlier. They have to trust in their defense. 3rd and 5 to the end zone. Incomplete. He was looking for Lacey. Lacey was covered by Henderson.
Yeah, Henderson's had a nice game on the back end. Had a big pass breakup earlier on 3rd down. This time working in the slot. The Notre Dame transfer doing a nice job against LSU's best wide receiver. Lacey trying to work the fade. I said this earlier. They just have not been able to hit the fade route in the red zone. They've tried at least 8 times this year, with him lined up outside, inside against USC, against South Carolina, Nickel State, or here today. That's the only route that him and Nussmeier have just not been able to connect on.
That was a look on the progressive pylon cam. Ramos in for the field goal attempt from 32. And he puts it through, and LSU has been in complete control in this second half.
Play opportunities present themselves. Tennessee's offense, man, they take advantage.
34-17, UCLA came here on the road and played really well for a half and some change. A good fight. Speaking of road trips, I mean, it's that kind of experience for UCLA now in the Big Ten. They start off at Hawaii. I mean, just look at the mileage that they're putting forth here. Penn State, another 4,500 miles. They got to go all the way to New Jersey and play Rutgers. Of course, make the trips throughout the Big Ten. And then is this runner, the UCLA runner, like aging as this goes on?
He's slowing down,
and
too.
then, of course, they go up to the Pacific Northwest. So 22,000 miles.
Yeah, I'd be running that fast, too, if I went that far. That's my pace.
That is what
It's a lot for
Deshaun Foster is dealing with. There's Garbers to the outside. And, you know, this was one of those series that when it was announced, everybody at UCLA was super excited for it, right? This is the second half of the contract. And they said, listen, circle that. We're going to go down to Death Valley. So they actually traveled incredibly well for this game.
I flew overnight from Los Angeles to get here. I traveled with all of them. I got to tell you, they were so excited to be here at Tiger Stadium and to see this kind of environment.
You doing a bachelor out there?
I was late last night.
By the way, loved Golden this week.
Good, I'm glad.
Except for the dude who showed up with soup in a mason jar.
Oh,
you got no game if you're bringing a mason jar of soup for your intro.
He calls it chocolate-noodle soup.
That's horrific. Garbers, shallow cross, goes to Jones. Keegan Jones with a nice job and a stiff arm.
Well, I think one thing we've learned about UCLA is they're willing to fight. And we talked about that at the top of this game, right? Coming in after the blowout loss at home in your first Big Ten conference game to Indiana, how would you respond in this environment, in these circumstances? And I think if you're Deshaun Foster, you've seen a lot of really good things from your team in a lot of different facets.
Really impressive the way that they came out offensively. I mean, very first drive, Garbers brings them right down the field with 75 yards and a touchdown. A very nice bounce back after what we saw against Indiana a week ago. That ball was thrown behind the intended target. Gilmer's had a nice game, actually.
Yeah, he sure has, and I think he's the guy that's starting to establish himself. Joe, I mean, this offense took a big step today.
It did.
There's
it
no
really
question.
did.
I think from the performance of Ethan Garbers, you've seen Quasi Gilmer, Logan Loya, these guys have stepped up and made plays on the outside. Eric Bieniemy also has shown a few different wrinkles, a little bit more misdirection, changing up the tempo as well. As the season goes on, this is only their third game. He's going to continue to discover who's good at what schemes to add, what things to take away. This is going to be a constant tweaking process for Eric Bieniemy, but you got to like what you see, particularly in the first half.
Real growth. Incomplete as they tried to go on the slant, but defensively it was Ashton Stamps.
Well, Brian Kelly told Katie heading into halftime that they had to eliminate the mistakes on defense, and it was important they come out in the second half and establish some momentum, and that is exactly what they were able to do. Possessing the ball offensively, long drives, marching the field, throwing and running in defense. They've been able to get off the field, create turnovers, and get pressure on the quarterback.
Shutting UCLA out in the second half is this LSU defense. 5 sacks, 2 turnovers. Now looking to bring this thing in for a nice landing. 3rd down and 10. And Garber's effort to Gilmer is incomplete.
I think Ethan Garbers is going to take a lot of positives away from this game, and I think it's a lesson for them as a team. You got to keep things close. It seems like all of a sudden when you get behind a little bit, you got to start being a little bit more aggressive in the passing attack. You may not have the dudes yet to be able to do that play in and play out, but if they're moving ahead in their schedule, and it is brutal, by the way, it might be the toughest schedule in the Big Ten. They can keep games tight and close and manage it, then they have an opportunity.
Richter on to punt again, his 4th punt of the afternoon.
Wow.
And it's a beauty.
Man.
I mean, an absolute beauty inside the 5-yard line. Flag is down near the 35-yard line. Beautiful day here in Death Valley. Purple jerseys, we mentioned, just the 3rd time since 1993 that they've worn those purple jerseys for a day game at Tiger Stadium. By the way, you see those stripes they have there?
Foul, face mask on the kicking team. Number 3, the 15-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the kick. 1st down.
The stripes they have are called UCLA 1950s stripes.
Really?
That's where they come from, all the way back in the UCLA in the 50s.
Paying homage and respect.
There you go. That's a great look at it. So, and there's no connection between the two schools, but that's why LSU has those stripes, because they copy them off UCLA.
I do have to say,
from the 50s.
Seeing the UCLA fans walking around Baton Rouge this morning, their gear is sweet. Like the Jumpman stuff, basketball stuff. I mean, it might be some of the best in the country.
Sort of like Jay Palmer.
That's right. We got to get UCLA on board. We're still throwing, Joe.
As Nussmeier gets it to Green, and Green gets extra yardage. Hey, tomorrow on Sunday NFL Countdown, Alex Smith sits down with Kirk Cousins. That's before the Chiefs-Falcons game. And we're going to go inside the yard of the big man touchdown. It's 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. And then 2 Monday Night Football games this week. You got Jags-Bills at 7:15. And then for LSU fans, you got Jaden and Joe. Commanders and Bengals, Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow meeting up.
And you think about the quarterback tradition here, the Heisman Trophy winners, 2 guys in 5 years, setting a standard. Both just unbelievable players. That'll be so much fun to watch them go head-to-head.
Here's Durham again. You think about, listen, Joe Burrow and the stats that he had in his record-breaking year with the 60 touchdowns and 5,600 yards, but Jaden last year with the balance of passing and rushing, a guy who goes for 3,800 passing yards and 1,100 rushing.
And it was crazy how he was on no one's radar at the start of the year. You and I were calling games mid-season, and people weren't talking about him for the Heisman. They weren't willing to say, oh, he's a first-round pick. Just watch the film.
It was unbelievable how late everybody was.
It was like, dude, this guy is wrecking college football every single week.
Oh, and now here's Nussmeier, who's putting together a great day as well. And Mason Taylor, who is now a 1,000-yard tight end, the first career 1,000-yard tight end in LSU history.
You know, it's important that you think about continuity in a college football program. A big key to that is having continuity at the quarterback position. Look at Alabama, for instance, right? You go Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, now Jalen Milroe. There's never really been a big drop. I think LSU might be entering the beginning of that kind of run. But Jaden Daniels, now with Garrett Nussmeier, who they could have for another year, the #1 recruit in high school football coming into the 2025 class is Bryce Underwood, an amazing quarterback that's committed to LSU. They could have a good little run of QBs, which I think really helps out the continuity year in, year out. Doesn't matter how you get them. If you get them from the portal like Daniels, or you recruit them and develop them like Nussmeier, or you get the blue chip guy like Underwood, Brian Kelly's finding a way to get him in here, in the building, and it's going to help this continuity.
As we come to the 2-minute timeout on a day when Nussmeier has 332 yards passing and 3 touchdown passes. Yet Oklahoma, as Josh Heupel returns to OU. Led them to their national championship in 2000. Now brings in Tennessee as one of the best teams in the country. Final 2 minutes as LSU brings this to the finish line. Nussmeier and gets it complete to C.J. Daniels for a first down.
And that kind of day for Garrett Nussmeier. It's just, whether it's been deep down the field, quick decisions, finding running backs, beating the blitz, he continues to get better week in and week out.
Jamon Johnson on the carry. Hey, last week down at Florida, you were on full roast of a fan. This week, what do you got?
Well, as you know, Joe, Saturday is for the boys.
It is.
Except for my man right here. Oh. He's got a different set of priorities. Hand in the pocket, cool, calm, and collected. My man's playing the long game.
Oh,
and
I
like it.
That's beyond the first impression rose, isn't it, Jess?
No, he's not. That's not just first impression.
That's like when the final is. You get the last bid for the quote "get to know."
That might be final rose.
Nussmeier maybe adding to his day, but it's incomplete. Guy's got 350 yards.
It's moments like this, though, that I think you kind of have to just start taking knees or handing it off. You're going to need Garrett Nussmeier this year if you want to bring Ricky Collins in the game or A.J. Swan, but they keep letting him chuck it, and this O-line's doing a nice job with protection, but you know, I just wonder how necessary it is at this point.
Just an excellent second half overall. Complimentary football for Brian Kelly's team. Defense did their job. Offense was superb with the 2 very long drives. They had a 92-yard drive. They had a 96-yard drive, and Nussmeier guiding this team very, very well.
False start. Offense, number 86. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Tennessee, Oklahoma set to come your way, as we're going to have more flags here.
False start. 86. Offense. 5-yard penalty, remains 3rd down.
Multiple drives of over 90 yards and a half. First time that's happened in the last 20 years.
Pretty good. A high level of execution needed by all 11 guys, both running and throwing it. And they were hitting on all cylinders.
Aiden Durham, as he continues to get work. He had a spectacular touchdown earlier today. Future is very, very bright for that true freshman. And of course, Deshaun Foster understands how difficult the situation was going to be, but they fought really well in the first half here today.
And for LSU, they get set to take on South Alabama, who put up 87 points on someone a few weeks ago and cited the mercy rule, but still some things to figure out on defense for LSU. Penalties still a bit of an issue. The offense seems to